This podcast is brought to you in association with From Sweden with Love, one of the oldest fan sites dedicated to the world of 007. Online since 2004 and also on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Why not check them out today? JamesBond007.se. Nobody does it better. Or as they say in Stockholm these days, ingen gör det bättre.
Every film every stunt every story Stunts. Bond Stunts. Welcome to the YouTube series. Welcome to this week's show. It's Bond 17, Goldeneye, the movie that saved the franchise, the man who should have been Bond in 1987. You were expecting someone else? Bond and beyond, people. Simon Crane as stunt coordinator, and the bar continues to be raised as we see in the first of a two-parter. Enjoy. So it's Goldeneye. It's the start of an extraordinary series of action sequences, and we go high upon the Laguna Dam, where we find stuntman Wayne Michaels, doubling Pierce Brosnan. If you didn't know who he was before, you certainly knew who he was afterwards, performing this quite remarkable leap. It's the poise and composure. Look at his arms. He's being buffeted left, right and centre by an updraft, which he must try and control, keep the position. Now he's acting. He's got to reach into his jacket, he's got to find the gun, he's got to take it out and hold the pose and then calmly disappear behind shot. That's magnificent. And that isn't something that you just do. That's something that you rehearse and, that's fantastic. I mean, it really is. That's first class. So, he's arrived at Archangel. Meanwhile, downstairs, in the gents' convenience, stuntman Jim Dowdle is about to get rid of breakfast whilst perusing the crossword. All the great, wonderful, amazing work that this man has done. And he's often remembered for being punched off the toilet by Pierce. Things we do. Right, here is actually Paul Jennings. Paul Jennings, extraordinary stuntman, stunt coordinator. Check him out on IMDb and you'll note many of his wonderful pieces of work as a coordinator. Here, little job. Look, Paul Heisman shot and falling from the balcony and also falling down the stairs. Did it in two separate shots. The stunt team here, although relatively small, Mark Henson pops up a couple of times. Watch the guys behind. Look, they're just going to shoot him. Look, big blast there, so that's him shooting all of their men over there. And then this guy's actually shot Orloff there, look. Urumov, rather, not Orloff. What am I talking about? I meant Urumov. And you can't win. Well, he's going to have a damn good try. Look, down come the barrels. This is all it leaves. And there's Gary Powell getting some large. And then back out into the backlot at Leavesden. This is long before Harry Potter, of course, remember. There's Wayne Michaels. who is Pierce's main double on the picture. He's also doubled by Jamie Edgell a bit later on as well. And now a whole bunch of lads going to get shot here, look. First of which is a guy called Lyndon Helliwell, and he goes. I don't know who this next guy is. Can't put my finger on that, but there's Paul Heisman again. It's like a one-man army, Paul. Right, Bond's going to get after that plane, so he starts to run. On the motorcycles, Paul Herbert to the left. To the right is Gary Powell. And they're going to race after the plane and Bond, who is running on foot. Paul Herbert, incidentally, is also the pilot of the plane. We had the Paul Heisman situation earlier, now we have Paul Herbert. And funnily enough, Paul is then in the fight with Pierce. Door comes open and he is shot by himself, effectively, off the motorcycle. Injured himself quite badly here. This was filmed after this next section that we're going to see, which is Paul and Bond coming out of the plane. Jamie Edgell now takes over doubling Pierce, landing on the floor there. Watch just the waistband of the trousers. If you can see it now, it's just lifting. That's a wire, and the wire drags him. And the plane, see the bike going backwards there. They're never going to touch each other. Motorbike goes away, and Eddie Kidd now takes over, doing a little bit of doubling for Pierce, riding towards the cardboard mountains. Still rather good, though. That's Urumov, not Orlov. Urumov. It's the O's. I always get those confused. Over the edge of the cliff, and we now are in Jacques Zoumalmoui's territory, and he is free-falling for real behind the plane. Then there's a separate shot where B.J. Worth is free-falling for real behind the plane. That's him there. Then they couple some slightly closer shots of Pierce, presumably CGI'd or early stage CGI, then in the studio, and back to square one. It's a magnificent pre-title sequence. I absolutely love it. And if you were going to introduce a new Bond, well, that's how you do it. No two ways about it. Fantastic. Enjoyed that. And only the tip of the iceberg. More to come as the plane picks up and lifts off. We then arrive, many moons later, in the Aston Martin. And it's your man behind the wheel. Good chase, this. This took a number of takes. I seem to remember footage of the cars banging into each other. Dominique Julien is driving the Aston Martin. And another part of Remé's team, who are responsible for filming this particular sequence. But they have a great rally driver who is driving the Ferrari, and this is one of my favourite shots. As sees at the last minute and then flies across and starts to spin around. Christophe Vazion, who is driving this Ferrari. What is it, 355, I think? Just look at the way they corrected that. It's fantastic. Nice slide there. And the cyclists. I love this shot too. Really nice shot of them going side by side and going through the archway here. It's a lovely camera shot coming back, and you see the entire distance. It's superb. Cyclists. Now, the cyclists. It's not Martin Campbell. I repeat, it is not Martin Campbell. I don't know how many more times I have to tell that to people. It's not Martin Campbell in Casino Royale either. Just saying. But it is Patrick Cordelier. And there they all go. Drive off into the distance. There he is. There's the man himself. Not Martin Campbell. And now the sauna scene. This is Eunice Huthart and Wayne Michaels. Michaels doubling Pierce in close-up. And again here, look, that's in close-up. That's the two of them together. She was hired pretty much for that kick. That was the reason why she won Gladiators that particular year in the UK, if you remember. And here she is being thrown over Wayne's shoulder onto some pads on the floor. And then he reaches for the gun. Just as he starts to come back into frame, he becomes Pierce again. Look at that. No more foreplay. Nicely done. Now then, tank chase territory. That's where we are now. The car being slid out and arriving just in the nick of time as Gary Powell is our tank driver in this particular chase sequence. And, well, you get to do this, look, power sliding tanks. You don't get that every day of the week. There was a great deal of work gone into that to make that work. Snazzy bit of driving in the car as well. That's Steve Griffin plays the driver. And, of course, he will crop up again in the next movie, doing a bit of blind driving. But Gary's absolutely loving this. Look, sliding this about. Very nice little J-turns and all sorts going through here. Ooh, here we go. Pitch. Crashing through this. I mean, it must have been absolutely amazing to watch this being done. So crashing through one side, coming out the other, pretty much unscathed, apart from the masonry, of course. And we get a couple of lovely Jeep gags here. There's the tank moving. The pipe's there. That's a sign. And the first one comes out. And we've got Gary Powell, Mark Henson, and Lyndon Helliwell in the first one. And the second one, Andreas Petridis, Stuart Clark, and Paul Heisman driving. That's a pipe ramp. And look at that. I mean, the timing on this, it was absolutely extraordinary. Andreas and Stuart are the passengers. They are not wired on. They can't be. They have to time everything to the right last second so that they jump clear and clear the Jeep that is perched over the edge of that water. That takes some doing. And again, blink and you'll miss it. But that's why I'm playing it at slow-mo, so we can catch hold of it and see it. Use the bumper, that's what it's for. Now, this is a lovely moment as well. There's a lot of Wayne Michaels again popping up. They just keep reusing the same guys. It's not a big team. There's lots of stunt guys who were in the picture. But they keep reusing the same guys over and over again, you know. But this, there's a moment coming up which I just think is fantastic. On the bridge. This is called a T-bone. Way, there we go, look. And a great many of these cars, of course, you see people climbing out of them. There we go. Only because they have to, because it's 12. Yeah, there's a fair bit of carnage going on here. On the bridge, look at this knockdown. Let's look at it again. Nice and slowly. Andy Bennett is being knocked down. He's just arriving at the car now, and he turns and he gets his back up and he just gets onto it, and then he's wired. The wire then pulls him up. There's a crane pulling him up, just getting him over from the bonnet, from the car, over the side of the bridge, and then into the water. And again, it's absolutely fabulous. I really, really love that shot. And nobody really mentions it. You know, it's not one of those things that's talked about particularly, but I think it's really well worth it. There's a couple of days' work gone into that. And quite a lot more work gone into this. Here's the the tank thing that Gary was talking about. There's the car there. And then, of course, they've got to get people getting out of it because he's not allowed to drive over and officially kill civilians. Of course, Bond only allowed to kill those he is supposed to kill. And crashing through the Perrier wagon that is driven by stuntman Richard Hammett. And there he is. Do you remember the Perrier promotion? Perrier was shocking at the time. I never liked it, but I quite like it now, mind you. And the statue on top of the tank, and then it gets to the archway, and driving the cars behind as it is left to drop down, driving the cars behind, Paul Heisman and Stuart Clark. The statue then lands between the two vehicles. They hit the back, and Paul Heisman got a real beating after that. And more next week. There you go. That's part 1 done and dusted. More next week. The big showdown between Bond and 006. The destruction of the Arecibo. Stay tuned. Shout it from the rooftops. Until next week. Bye for now.